This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
2, 1. Okay. Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Welcome everyone to the Kollel Agra de Pirko here in Kew Garden Hills, New York. So let me just begin with some good news. So maybe many of you know, Baruch Hashem, we're building a shul in Cedarhurst. And it's an interesting thing that shuls actually cost money to build. And what I understand is people enjoy helping build shuls not only in their own communities and paying their own membership, but they like to build shuls that they don't even daven in. So I hear there are a lot of people like that. So if you happen to be from among the people who would like to help build a shul in Cedarhurst, and even if you don't daven there, maybe you'll watch a shiur from there occasionally, please let us know, and we'd be happy to accept your offer. Okay. And yeah. People are watching. Website? Yeah, whatever you need. Any way that somebody wants to help, we'll figure out how to make that possible. Okay. Okay, good, right? Thank you, Alvin. So, Parshas Mishpatim. Parshas Mishpatim is one of those parshas before Purim that many of us feel are very technical, and maybe sometimes we overlook it. To some people, this is not always the most inspiring parsha. It's a parsha about torts and damages. But that's for the uninitiated. But what we would like to explore is how relevant Parshas Mishpatim is to us in a halachic sense, in a technical sense, and al pi machshava. So let us begin with the Masechta that speaks about the various damages discussed in Parshas Mishpatim, and that is Masechta Baba Kama. Masechta Baba Kama. What does it say in Masechta Baba Kama? How does Baba Kama begin? Arba Avos Nazikin. There are 4 fathers of damage. Hashar, the ox, the habar, and the pit. The hamaveh. What does maveh mean? What is maveh? What does the word mean? What does that refer to? The hahever. Hever refers to fire. So there are a few notable points that we need to pick up on. Number 1, what in the world does maveh mean? So there's an opinion in the Gemara. Maveh zeh Adam. Thank you. Maveh zeh Adam. Maveh is Adam. Well, really, if that's what maveh means, so then just say it. If that's what you mean, so say it black and white. V'hamaveh, so say hashar v'habar v'ha'adam hever. Hever. What's a hever? Fire. Well, if it's eish, so just say it. Why are we getting all poetic? This is not the place for poetry here. This is not the place, we're trying to say straight out the technical categories of damage. Shar, bar, maveh, and hever. But the most important observation we need to make is that this sentence doesn't make sense. Arba avos nazikin, 4 categories of damage. Hashar v'habar. What do you mean 4 categories of damage? What are you trying to say? What about them? It should say Arba avos nazikin hein. There are 4 categories. Imagine I get up and say 4 categories of damage. Really? You're awake today? What are you talking about? What do you mean 4? What about them? The Mishna forgot to say the word hein. And if you notice, hein is not something that the Mishnah forgets to say. Classically, traditionally, a Mishnah, when it lists numbers, it always says hein. For example, let's take a look in number 6. Arba shoimrin hein. There are 4 guards. Shomer chinam, shoyel, noisei sachar, soicher. That's number 6 in Shavuos, Daf Mem Tes. Or Masechta Rosh Hashanah. Arba Rashi Shanim Haim. There are 4 Rosh Hashanahs. So why does the Mishnah Baba Kama not say the word Hain? So let's take a look at Tosfos. Says the Heilige Tosfos, Is duchta deloi tani Hain. There are places that it doesn't say Hain. Kamai hacha, like over here. Uve Gemara, and later in the Gemara brings the Brisa, Gabe Shalosh Esrei Avois Nezikin. There are 13 categories of damage. It doesn't say in Hain. Or, take a look at number 5, a Mishnah in Krisais. There are 4 people missing kapara. So there also it doesn't say Hain. There is duchta de katani Hain. And there are places that it does say Hain. Kediktani arba shoimrin hein. There are 4 guards. Hein. V'arba rosh shanim hein. Now, one who does not have the proper background in learning Tosfos would just read Tosfos as saying as follows. Sometimes it says hein, sometimes it doesn't say hein. Where I come from, there's no such thing as Tosfos saying something. Tosfos doesn't just get up. Tosfos is not like a Sheva Brachas Torah. You know what Sheva Brachas Torah? Some guy who never spoke before in his life gets up and he says, by the way, I'm not a speaker. So do me a favor, please sit down. Please sit down. I didn't really have a chance to prepare, so why are you wasting my time, right? I was really going to speak about, it's bad enough after hear what you're going to say, and after hear what you're not going to say. So people don't, so do the Olam a favor, do the world a favor, save us the time, and just, fulfill the dictum of Siyag l'chachma shtika, don't say anything. But Tosfos is not a speaker. Not only that, Tosfos is not a Rashi. Tosfos is not a Mefaresh. Tosfos has questions, and Tosfos gives answers. Even if he doesn't say Tema, V'yishloimar, V'im Toimar, V'yishloimar, Tosfos has a question, and Tosfos has an answer. What is Tosfos' question in the first Tosfos in Bava Kama? Tosfos' question is, why doesn't it say Hein here? It doesn't say Hein, it should say Arba Avos Nazikin Hein, like it says, Arba Shoimrim Heim, Arba Rosh Hashanim Heim. Answers Tosfos. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. Meaning, whatever, which is the worst word in the English language, right? Whatever means that you have no thought process. You don't think when you speak. You just let sounds come out of your mouth. And right at this moment, you weren't thinking at all, so you just said nothing. Right? That's what the word whatever means. That you have no clarity of thought. But in any event, right, the Rapam would say, never say the word whatever. Whatever means you don't think when you speak. Well, if you have a teenager, how does it like, whatever. Okay, so what did you say? Nothing, right? So, what's Tosfos' answer? Tosfos' question is, sometimes it says hein, sometimes it doesn't say. Why doesn't it say hein here? The answer basically is, don't make a big deal about it. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. There's no rhyme or reason, which is not necessarily the most satisfying answer. So why would the Tana waste 2 letters of hein? And Tosfos says, don't make a big deal about it. If you look in Tosfos in other Masechtos, for example, Tosfos in Rosh Hashanah, take a look at number 8. Tosfos in Rosh Hashanah has a different approach, meaning the shita of Tosfos in Bava Kama is there's no rhyme or reason. Sometimes this way, sometimes that way. In fact, there's a Gilyon on Tosfos in Bava Kama who asks, why doesn't it say Arba Avos Nazikin Hein, like it says Daled Rosh Hashanah Hein? And Tosfos says, how are we doing? Good, okay? Tosfos says, Shaloi Ba'al Hagid Arba Avos Halalu Roi Re'izeh K'Re'izeh, that the point of the Mishnah is not to teach that there are 4 Avos Nazikin, it's only to tell the differences, that each one is not like the other, and therefore it doesn't say hein. And then Tosfos asks, but no, from the Gemara it's mashma that it's giving a specific number, and therefore Tosfos goes, you know what? There is no rhyme or reason. Sometimes it says hein, sometimes it doesn't. Tosfos in Rosh Hashanah has a different shita. Take a look at number 8. Says Tosfos in Rosh Hashanah, B'chol duchti tani hein. It always says hein. Keda'ashkechan hacha, like it says over here in Rosh Hashanah. U'v'perk basra de shvuas, arba shoimrim hein. U'v'perk hama de chulin, gimel pegimois hein. U'v'perk ein ma'amidin, gimel yenois hein. U'v'perk kol atzlamim, gimel batim hein. Gimel avonim hein. Gimel ilanois hein. So the answer is, it always says hein. Oh, but, with the big but, the but is, Avo Barish Baba Kamata Babas Nazikin Veloy Tani Hein. So this Tosfos doesn't say other, sometimes yes, sometimes no. This says it always says it. Aye, but it doesn't. Small problem. The answer is Mishum Dekoy Abasrei. It's going on what it says later on. Kolaymar Abba Avos Nazikin Halalu Loy Re'izeh K'Re'izeh. It's really, it needs to flow into the next statement of the Mishnah. This one is not like that one, so it doesn't want to interrupt with the word hein. So basically there are two shitas of Tosfos. The first shita is, don't make a big deal about it, there's no rhyme or reason. The second shita is, hein is the rule unless there's a reason not to. Let's discuss one more thing. Let's discuss the order of the Mishnah. Shar, bar, mave, hever. Why is that the order? Why does it say it in that order? Says Rashi, take a look at number 3 on the second line, Hashar v'habar, keseder shein ksuvim beParsha sidran b'Mishna. The way it is in Parshas Mishpatim is the way it is in the Mishnah. The Parsha Rishayna Nemra Bashar, the first Parsha discusses Shar, then Bar, then you would think Mave, and then you would think Hever. Says Tosfos, look at number 4, Perish b'Kuntras, Keseder she'nechtavu beParsha sidran b'Mishna. V'yafal gav, what are you talking about? There's a machlokes. Is Shar ox and Mave Adam? There's a shita, no, Shar is regel. And regel is after bar. Right? So it should be then, according to the Mandamar, Shar is ox in general. Ox in general, it says before bar. But according to the Mandamar, Shar is regel. Regel, it says after bar. It says, Tosfos, according to the Mandamar, Shar l'ragloi, loy have a keseder ha-parsha, de regel nafgalon, mi v'shilach es be'irai. Regel we learn out from v'shilach, d'chsev basar bar. Says Tosfos, yeah, but Shar in general, even though Shar in the Mishnah is regel, but ox in general is listed before bar, and therefore first goes Shar and then bar. Then Tosfos asks, according to the Manda Amar, Mave is Adam. Adam is written after Eish. The Manda Amar Mave is Adam. Afagav de basar havaraksiv Parshas Emar. Even though it's written after Eish. Where do we have Adam Hamazik in Emar Make Behima Yishalmena? No, the answer is we didn't go exactly in order. It says Tosfos Leichash Lishnoisai Keseder HaParsha. We were not concerned to list it like the order of the Parsha. Lefi Sharachai Kol Kach. Because the truth is, Adam is so far after Eish. V'shanoi keseder loy harei deseifa shemava koydem lehever. And at the end of the Mishnah, it's switched to a different order to be consistent with what it says later in the Mishnah. It says loy harei hamave kaharei habar, and therefore it said it that way. Kaharei ha'esh. And then Rabbeinu Tam says no. The fact is, Adam it says before, because it says ki yignov ish shar. That's also Adam hamazik. So there are some little difficulties in the order of the Mishnah. One difficulty is, if Shar is regel, Shar should not be first. So you have to say, Adoicheg, Shar in general was spoken about first in the Parsha. And if you say Mave is Adam, why is Mave before Eish? So you have to either say, well, we weren't concerned so much with the order because Adam is listed so far after in the Torah, or it does in fact say Adam before Eish. These are some of the difficulties if you learn like Rashi and Tosfos. Number 1, why does it not say hein? So you have to give basically a doichik answer. You have to say, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. What about the order? You have to figure out how the order is logical. Mar Rabbi Sai, what I'd like to present to you is a Kabbalistic pshat in this Mishnah from none other than one of the great old-time Mekubalim, Rav Menachem Azariah of Fano, the Rama MiPano, who was a Talmud of Rabbi Yisrael Saruk. Rabbi Yisrael Saruk was a Talmud of the Arizal before Rav Chaim Vital. Even though the Arizal told Rav Chaim Vital, you're the only one who's allowed to give over my Torah and write down my Torah. So the question is, so how is there a line of Kabbalah from Rabbi Yisrael Saruk to the Rama MiPano? And the answer is basically Rabbi Yisrael Saruk was what is called grandfathered in. He was a Talmud before Rav Chaim Vital. Before Rav Chaim Vital, there was a tradition from the Arizal. After Rav Chaim Vital, no one else was authorized to learn from him. So Rama MiPano lived in Italy. He was a great printer. Had the privilege to be by his Makom Matzei Vasai in Mantua. And he had a printing press in Venice. And what's very interesting is that he's the one who published the Ramak's Tomer Devaira and the Ramak's Pardes Rimonim. He's the one who published the Beis Yosef. The Beis Yosef entrusted him with the folios of Beis Yosef to publish. He was a great old-time Makubal, and there's a great controversy about him, whether he had a beard or he didn't have a beard. Chassam Sofer writes in a tshuva that all the Chachmei Italia did not have beards, and they were toila atzman be'ilan hagadol, the Rama MiPano, even though we have pictures of Rama MiPano with a beard, but that's a separate discussion for a different time. The Rama MiPano wrote something called Asara Mamarais, and basically the Rama MiPano says he's not happy with Taisvis. Now that's not something that I could say or that you could say. Taisvis you can't argue on a Rishain, but the Rama MiPano himself was Kemat a Rishain, and he doesn't, he's not Mekabel the teretz of Taisvis. And therefore the Rama MiPano says a tremendous answer. And that is as follows. It's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the 5th line in number 9, Asara Ma'amarais, Maimer Chikar Hadin, Chilak Aleph, Perek Gimel. Let's give the following explanation. There's a klal in general. The Zayar says, Istakel ba'iraisa ubara alma. God looked at the Torah and He created the world. It's not that God created the world and the Torah is sort of like a record book of what Hashem did. It's just the opposite. It's the other way around. There was a Torah. He used the Torah as the architectural plans, as the blueprint for creation. The Nefesh HaChaim says Hashem read the pasuk Vayomer Elokim Yihar, and that's how He created the light. Hashem read the pasuk Nasa Adam, that's how He created man. In fact, there's a famous question. One of the most important concepts in Judaism is Olam Haba. And it's such an important concept. Guess how many times the Torah talks about Olam Haba? 0. It doesn't talk about Olam Haba. It's not mentioned anywhere. This is a question the Kli Yakar addresses in the beginning of the Chukaisai. He gives 10 reasons why the Torah does not discuss Olam Haba. Says Rav Aaron Kotler, but there's a simple reason. The Torah is the architectural plans for creation. Whatever is in the architectural plans will be in creation. Whatever is not in the architectural plans will not be apparent in creation. So I'll give you an example. You're making a home, and you need a washroom. If the washroom is not drawn out in the architectural plans, it won't be built. It won't be there. The Torah is the open reality of creation. Whatever is in the Torah has to be an open reality. There is something in this world, as important as it is, Hashem doesn't want us to see it. What is it? Olam Haba. David HaMelech says, Ayin lo yira'asa Elokim zulasecha, tovcha asher tzafanta l're'echa. Nobody sees Olam Haba alive. If Olam Haba would be in the architectural plans, we would have to be able to see it, because whatever is in the architectural plans would be an open reality. So Hashem plucked it from the Tarsha B'chsav. It's only in the oral law, so that it's something that we will experience but not see with our physical eyes. I'll give you another example. It says in Parshas Vayishlach, it talks about the camels. And it says, it talks about the male cows and the female cows, the male rams and the female. And it talks about the camels, uvanehem. So Rashi says, why not the male and the female? So Rashi says camels are very tsanua in their relations, and therefore it's not mentioned in the Chumash. So most of us would learn it. Because camels are modest, the Torah alludes to that by not writing and their wives. So like alluding to the fact that camels are modest, we don't even say the female camels. No, it's just the other way around. Do you know why camels are modest? It's because the Torah doesn't speak about the females. That's the architectural plans for the personality of a camel. The fact the Torah doesn't write the wife of Mrs. Camel, that puts into the DNA of a camel that they're modest. Istakel ba'iraiso bara alma. But right, it's not that the reality came first and the Torah reports it. The first came the Torah, and the reality is a reflection of that. Says Rama MiPano, the same way that is true in Torah Shebachsav, that is true in Torah Shebal Peh. The way the oral law is written is what gives reality to creation. Rosh Hashanah is a wonderful day. All the Rosh Hashanahs, they're terrific. We love them. We want them to be. We want them to be in existence. We want them to have reality. Arba Rosh Hashanim Haim. There are 4 Rosh Hashanim. We want to give Havaya. We want to give concretization, realization, materialization to the concept of Rosh Hashanah. Therefore, it says, Arba Rosh Hashanim Haim. There are. We want there to be them. Likewise, Arba Shoimrim Haim. There are 4 watchmen. You say, well, what do you need watchmen for? The answer is, it says, Al Choymaisayach Yerushalayim, Hifgadetim Shoimrim. What are the Shoimrim? They're 4 guards that guard the wall of Yerushalayim. Keneged, the 4 letters of Hashem's name, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Now listen to this. The Gemara asks in Shavuos, there are 4 Shoimrim, Shomer Chinam, Shoyel, Noisei Sachar, Soicher. The Gemara asks there are really 3. Why? Because Soicher is a machlokes, is it a Shomer Chinam or a Shomer Sachar? So the Gemara says, you're right, it's 3 that are 4. Why? Because it's Keneged the Yud Kei Vav Kei. The Yud Kei Vav Kei is also Yud, Hey, and then Vav. But the Hey is repeated. So the 4 letters of Hashem's name are also Shloisha Shehem Arba. Well, says the Rama MiPano, here's the whopper. You ready? Yeah? Everyone with me? You ready? It's almost Rosh Chodesh Adar. Only a week. This Shabbos Mevarchim Chodesh Adar. So you could still be miserable until Shabbos Mevarchim if you want. You could still frown and be unhappy until Shabbos Mevarchim. Once Shabbos Mevarchim comes, I'm sorry to tell you, you have to smile. Misha Nichnas Adar. Marbim B'Simcha. Ger Rebbe says, what do you mean Misha Nichnas Adar? What Misha Nichnas? I should say, in the beginning, Mitchilas, Misha Nichnas is from Rosh Chodesh benching. So I'm happy to tell you, you still have a few more days to walk around miserable, to frown at people, to enjoy your misery. But, just enjoy it for only a few more days. What's the pshat? Arba avos nezikin. Why doesn't it say hain? You know why it doesn't say hain? We don't want there to be nezikin. We don't want there to be hezek. We don't want to give havaya lehezek. We don't want it to be part of reality. If the Mishnah is going to say arba avos nezikin, it's going to put damage into the reality to the extent there are going to be oxen goring everywhere. There are going to be pits. There are going to be fires. There are going to be adam amazik. So in order to mitigate the reality of hezek, the Tana did not put in the word hain.
What about pekimos?
Aye. So let's says Rama MiPano. What are the 4 avos nezikin? Shar, bar, mave, hever. There is no coincidence here. Actually, we know that the cities of Canaan were Makaimos Hatuma. The cities of Canaan, before we conquered it, were like hotbeds of ill will and poison and destruction to the world. And the final city of the Arei Canaan was V'yes Nevai, V'yes Ba'amein, Musavai Shem, V'yes Sivma. Vayikru V'shemais, Sivma. Take a look at that word, Sivma. Shar, Bar, Mave, Hever. The final city of the Arei Canaan is the seat of Tumah, the seat of Hezek, is the seat of destruction. What does it stand for? Shar, Bar, Mave, and Hever. It's Ir, Ketana, Achroina, La'arei Aknani, Be'ever Hayarden. Says Rama MiPano, it's Ever Layarden, corresponding to Ir HaKodesh, which presumably is Yerushalayim, and the Shem Ha'ir Miyoim, Hashem Shama. And the name of the city from the day that Hashem is there, we'll have to investigate. What does Rama MiPano mean by that? Also, take a look at number 5. What does it say by the Mechusarei Kapara? Arba Mechusarei Kapara. But what doesn't it say? It doesn't say Hain. Why not? Because these people are Mechusar Tara. We don't want them to be Mechusar Tara. We want people to be Tahar. Therefore, the Mishnah did not want to say the word Hain. There are certain braisos later in Baba Kama, by Rabbi and Rabbi Shia, Yud Gimel Avos, and Chavda'at Avos, that it says Hain. So it says Rama MiPano in many more correct texts, it doesn't say Hain. Or it could be in the Braisa, they didn't have to be so careful. By the Daled Misais, it does say Hain. No, these people sinned. It's good for them to get punished and get kapara. This is the approach of the Rama MiPano, and the Rama MiPano says some kind of Kabbalistic remez that the city, Ever LeYarden, the final city, Ever LeYarden, Sivma, is the Rashi Tevos, Shar, Bar, Mave, and Hever. Well, comes the Chassam Sofer, and the Chassam Sofer in his Hakdama to Masechta Bava Kama, he sort of elaborates and elucidates this comment of the Rama MiPano, and he uses it to answer a bunch of very interesting questions. Says the Heilige Chassam Sofer, Shema B'ni Musar Avicha Shar Bar Mave Eish. Okay? These are the different types of Nazikin. Why did the Tana put it in this order? Why didn't the Tana say Hain? Says Chassam Sofer, Toisus was Madcha, and also another question. Why did the Tana say Mave? Say Adam! Why did the Tana say Hever? Say Eish? Says, what are you talking about? Of course we can't say Adam. Of course we can't say Eish. If we say Adam and Eish, the whole Rashi Tevos is off, right? Then what is it going to be? It's going to be Sabah. I mean, it doesn't mean any. Shin Beis Aleph Aleph. You're out to lunch. You need to say Mave. You need to say Hever because this is corresponding to what? Sivma. Now, interestingly, it continues the Chassam Sofer that he quotes Rashi that Shar and Bar are Keseder Kshiksuvim B'Torah. As Tosus asks, but Mave and Hever, we didn't write the correct order. So Tosus says like this. Of course, Mave and Hever, we're not going to say the order. Once you start Shar and Bar Keseder, if you're going to flip around Mave and Hever, you lose the Sivma. So of course, once you start with Shar and Bar, you're allowed to put Mave and Hever out of order because to get the Rashi Tevos. The only thing was we were bothered by the following question. The question we're bothered by is there's another way to say Eish, Tavera. Tavera. So you'll ask, if you would say Tavera, then you lose the hay, you lose the Sivma, you lose the hay. So some sort of have a better Rashi Tevos. Take Sivma, throw it out to lunch, and instead have a much better Rashi Tevos. Remember, behind every great man stands an even greater woman. Or as Mark Twain said, behind every great man stands a surprised mother-in-law. Yeah? But behind every great man stands a greater woman. So could you imagine what kind of Rashanta stood behind Esav? To make an Esav, to produce an Esav, you need one mechashefo of a wife to produce an Esav. Who is Esav's wife? Basmas, Bar, Shar, Mave, Tavera, says the Chassam Sofer. So why do you need to say Hever, Sivma? We should use Tavera, Bar, Shar, Mave, Tavera. The answer is, no, we're not going to use Basmas. Because since we want to start in order, Shar comes first and then Bar, we go with Sivma instead of Basmas. But don't ask that Mave and Hever are out of order, because we started Shar and Bar, so we have to finish up with the Rashi Tevos. But says the Chassam Sofer a very interesting thing. Now look at the next paragraph. These four klipos are keneged the Irak Kodesh, Yerushalayim, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. And the same way there's Shar, there's Bar, there's Mave, there's Hever, Lara, and Lehezik, there is a corresponding kayach of Kedusha. Shar. What's a shar? Shar could be used l'divrei Torah. The Gemara says in Brachas on Daf Nun Vav Amud Beis that if someone sees an ox in their dream, they're going to have children who are menageach in Torah, warriors in Torah. That's the bracha of Yosef. So shar also has the kayach l'toiv. What about bar? Bar is a pit, empty, rake. It's full of tumah. But keneged that, if you have be'er mayim chayim bekedusha, someone who sees a be'er b'chaloim, the Gemara says yitzapeh l'shalom, l'chayim, l'toira. Mave. Mave is keneged the Sisrei Torah, says Chassam Sofer. Like it says nivu matzpunav, that one is megala, the secrets of Torah. And hever is, the hever betuma is eish, and then corresponding to that you have ha'ara, B'Kedusha. So this is how the Chassam Sofer uses the Rama MiPano to, first of all, explain the order. The order is to get the pasuk, the remez of Sivma, Shar, Bar, Mave, and Eish, and that is why the Mishnah does not say Hain. By the way, the Chassam Sofer has another remez, very interesting remez. Take a look at number 13. It says, Vayosef, Vayhika hayoim hazeh, Vayovoi, Habaisa, Lasois, Malachtoi, V'ein ish, Me'anshe, Habayis, Sham, Baboyis, says the Chassam Sofer, Me'anshe is Maveh, is what? Basically, Sivma. The Arba Avos HaKlipos, Shar, Bar, Maveh, and Hever. You see that? Shar. Right? Me'anshe Habayis, Sham, Baboyis. You have Maveh, Hever, Shar, Bar. That's Rashi Tevois, Sivma. Backwards. You know, you got to be open-minded over here. So that's what the Chassam Sofer says. Sivma is Shar, Bar, Maveh, and Hever. Fine. What now? The Rama MiPano says that the city of Sivma corresponds to what? Shem ha'ir miyoim Hashem shama. So you say, I'm not. What is he talking about? Shem ha'ir miyoim Hashem shama. I don't know. So I'll tell you, that is the last pasuk in Sefer Yecheskel, Perek Memches. So if you haven't gotten up to Perek Memches in Yecheskel, you're still holding by Perek Lamed Zayin, let's say. The last pasuk of the last Perek of Yecheskel, Shem ha'ir miyoim Hashem shama, is what? Is Shar, Maveh, Hever. There's no bar over there, right? No more bar. When you finish Yecheskel, you're out of the bar. But that's the corresponding city. Take a look, Rabbi say in the Shlach HaKadosh, this week's Parsha. Says the Shlach HaKadosh, Achar kach, dalid avos nazikin. You have the four main categories of damage. Sharoshe teva shalahem sivma, shar, bar, maveh, hever. The sivma hi'ir me'arei haknani, like it says in Parshas Matos. These are all the dalid avos nazikin. By the way, where do the dalid avos nazikin come from? They come from the four roots of danger. V'hu rachum yichaper avoin. V'loi yashchis. V'ha'ir v'lahashiv apoi. V'lo yirkach hamasai. What are the four types of damage? Avoin, mashchis, af, and chema. Rachum yichaper avoin, yashchis, apoi, chema. These are the four powers of damage. So, says the Shlach HaKadosh, from there comes bar. Bar is chibur hakever. Maveh is shein, where a person is judged masha'acha be'isr. Shar is the karne of the samach mem. And keren, the hu hasatan yisahar, shar, keren, regel, right? You take the word, there are three damages of a shar. You have shar, keren, and regel is Rashi Tevois, sheker. And these correspond to the dalid shomrim misad ha-kedusha. Okay, Rabbi, let's just take this a little bit further. So, there is at the end of certain Masechtas, Baba Kama, Baba Metzia, you have an incredible perush, an achroin, one of the most difficult achroinim. In many yeshivas, maybe in most, they don't really learn this. It's too hard. Where I come from, this is like the meat and potatoes. This is like the chal, they relish in the Maram Shif. Maram Shif, I remember there was once a gadol, he looked at somebody, he said, I could tell you learn the Maram Shif. Maram Shif, you need to know the shakla v'tarya crystal clear to be able to understand. It's written very cryptically. Actually, there's a Skver Chassid who wrote volumes and volumes and volumes just on the Parshas Maram Shif on one Masechta. So Maram Shif was not known to be a big Baal Darshan, but he does have drashos at the end of Masechta Baba Kama and at the end of Chulin. And the Maram Shif says the Dalid Avos Nazikim are the Dalid Averos Chamuros. What are the Dalid? So you say, what are you talking about? There are only three Averos Chamuros. Avodah Zarah, Gilui Arayos, Shvichas Damim. Says Maram Shif, we're going to put in there Gezel as well. And therefore, says Maram Shif, Shar is one of the four cardinal sins. Which one? What was the greatest act of Avodah Zarah in our history? The Egel Vayamiru es Kavoidam Betavnes Shar Oichel Esef. Shar is Avodah Zarah. Okay, Bar. Bar is Ritzicha. They threw Yosef into the bar. They tried to kill him. Shvichas damim. Maveh is the Chet of Adam Harishain. Adam. Chet of Adam Harishain, or Gezela. Hashem said, don't eat the tree. It doesn't belong to you. You can eat everything else. Adam ate from the tree. And then Heather is the fire of Gilui Arayos. So these 4 Avos Nezikin are the 4 cardinal sins. And Rabbi said, now we come to the main point of the Shiur. And what does this have to do with us? We're pretty good. I think most people on Yom Kippur, when they clap al chet, they don't have to worry so much. One of the things that most people feel confident that they don't have to clap al chet for is, most people think they don't have to clap al chet for bowing down to Buddhas in their basement. Most people, I don't think, are clapping al chet for bowing down to Avodah Zarah. Most people are not clapping al chet for Ritzicha, for Gilui Arayos. And yet, the Sfarim tell us that these are just general categories. But the truth is that these 4 categories of Nezikin are rooted not in these major masim, but in certain midos. What are they? So let's give a few examples. We'll take a look at number 18 from the Magid Mimezrich. The Magid says, Magid Rav Yaakov, he says, Arba Avos Nezikin, Hashar, V'Habar, Hamaveh, V'Hahever. What is Shar? Shar is a lashon of looking, seeing. Like it says, Ashurenu v'layata. Right? Shur ki avar chaziden. It's a lashon of histaklus. Right? The Gemara in Bava Basra talks about something called Hezek Re'iyah. Bar. Bar is a field, a sedei bor. What's a sedei bor? So some people think, look, I'm a good guy. I work hard. And then when I get home, I do nothing. I just relax and kick back and waste my time. And I'm involved in leisure, but I'm not hurting anybody. So I'm not a mazik. No, you're the worst mazik in the world. You're destroying the world. The worst thing in the world is to be idle. Why? Because you could be mekayim kala ilam kula. You could be learning Torah. If failure to use one's time properly is hezek, being a bor, being a fallow field, is hezek to the world. Maveh shein. What could a person possibly do with shein? Achila gasa. What's achila gasa? Don't be so into food. In this store this restaurant, they have this zach. It's pretty good. But in that place, a half hour away, if you drive there, it's even better. You wait 3 hours for the piece of steak, and it's even better. How much better? It's kedai. It's kedai. For what? Why are you so into the food? Let's analyze for a moment. Right now, you're waiting an hour for the food, so you haven't gotten any enjoyment yet. Right now, it's on your plate, so it's not doing anything for you. So let's try to analyze. Exactly when are you getting this major hana? Now? No, it's not in your mouth yet. Now? No, it's not. Oh, because you chewed it. Now, once you chewed it, it doesn't taste like anything anymore. So for that split second, you're wasting your money and your life to go, well, you're meshugana. What's wrong with you? Get a life. Just eat something and finish. You want to eat food, enjoy it. But why are you so into it? V'hahever is fire. What fire? Nobody's spreading fires? So now let's talk about a very important topic. And that is, you know what fire is? Fire is kas. Shehu hartachas ha'esh. The burning of fire. Says the Shlach Kadosh. Parshas Mishpatim. It says, Kiseit seyesh, if a fire will go out, umatza kaitzim, and it finds thorns, v'nechal gadish, and it consumes a haystack. So you say, oh yeah, that's an archaic avera. Used to have people with fields and haystacks and fires. Baruch Hashem, I am confident that la'achar 120 shana, I will not be accountable for starting a fire and having thorns spread it in my haystack. That's one thing I don't have to worry about, right? I'm not a farmer yet, so I don't have to worry about my farmer and my fire in the haystack. So I'm good to go. That's one thing. Guess what? So what do you want reward for? Reward me. I never let a fire go out and catch onto my haystack. So Rabbi says that's because you don't have a haystack. Well, whatever the reason is, that's, I'm going to cash in on the lack of fire spreading from my haystack. Says the Shla, come on, well, let me tell you what this is really about. Says the Shla, V'yesh bekan remez, 3 lines on the end, Le'esh hamachloikes le'esh hakas. This is a remez to the fire of fighting, quarreling, anger, shetzarech lishmar shmira yisera. You need to guard your kas with an extra degree of guarding. That it does not come out of you even unintentionally. Uklal gadolhu. It is a great rule. To make a person holy with all types of kedushas. Here you have somebody, he wants to be holy. Hey Rabbi, how are you becoming holy? Every Friday, I never missed going to the mikvah. Not only that, I go to the mikveh every day. It's all worthless. It's not worth anything. It's meaningless. Why? Because you're about kas. Every time somebody does something that you don't like, you blow up at them. No, what are you talking about? In shul, I'm a gentleman. I'm not talking about in shul. In shul, you're embarrassed to do. I'm talking about in your house. In your house, you're a Rasha Marusha. Every time something happens that you don't like, you blow up like a fire. Yeah, but I go to the mikvah. Yeah, you're a faker. It's worthless. What are you going to the mikvah for? You want to be holy? Look, guard your temper. Forget the mikvah and guard your temper. If you guard your temper, then we could talk about the mikvah afterwards. Lashon Hara is also very bad. But now he's talking about just kas. You want to be holy, guard your temper. Guard your anger. The klal god, this is the shla. I don't know anything about holiness. The shla HaKadosh, he probably knows about holiness, right? I mean, his name is Kadosh. They don't say that about, me and you, Kadosh. The shla, they call him Kadosh. Klal gadolhu. The shla HaKadosh is telling you how to be holy. You know how to be holy? Guard your anger. Says the Mesilas Yesharim, take a look at number 22. That means when the Torah says, Kiseit se'esh u'matzah kaitzim, when a fire goes out and it burns a haystack, it's talking about don't let the anger burn. Says the Mesilas Yesharim, take a look carefully at these words of the Mesilas Yesharim. Unedaber ata min hakas. Let's talk about anger. Hine yesh haragza. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to read this. And me and you are thinking, oh, I know the guy that this is talking about. I remember this guy in yeshiva, he got so angry that, you know how it is. Some guys were hot, some guys are cold. It's always a hot, cold. Most anger comes from hot air conditioning and heat, right? And, well, till the guy got up and he slammed the window, and a huge window shattered. Yeah, in the yeshiva. I felt bad for him. I'm not going to say where, no. But I felt very bad for him because I don't think he didn't intend to do that. He didn't want to do that. But the problem is when a person lets anger get a hold of them, they do things that they don't want to do. Take a look at the Mesilas Yesharim. Most people, when they say every day, if you dam nusal hashamnu baganu, most people are not clapping al chet that they're an oived avodah zara. I think most of us, unzera heimische frimme yidden, I don't think we consider ourselves oivdei avodah zara. No, says the Mesilas Yesharim. Kol hakayes keilu oived avodas alilim. Why? Who's that talking about? Someone who gets angry on something that's done against his will, and he gets filled with fierce anger, ad shekvar liboy bal imoy, his heart is not with him anymore, and his counsel has been destroyed. Now, says Mesilas Yesharim, let's examine this guy. This guy is sitting in his basement. And the guy is fuming, he's like ripping things, he's throwing books, but Baruch Hashem, he's in a controlled environment, so what's he going to break already? The basement walls are, so he's banging his head against the wall. Now, one question. This guy, if he had access to an atom bomb, there is no question he would blow up the entire world at that moment. Because, why is that? Because right now, there is a certain part of his personality that has been removed. And that is his brain. He has no brain. He has no seichel at this point. What is this person now? He is a full-fledged rhinoceros. He's a chayara. The only reason he's not blowing up the world is because he doesn't know how to splice the atom. If he would know how to split the atom, he would drop a nuclear bomb. There's no doubt. I mean, what's the difference between the fact that he's taking a glass and shattering it against the wall? That's only because he happens to have glass in his hand. And if he had access to the nuclear bomb, he would do it. Says Mishpatim, Be'enei Hashem, it's as if he destroyed the whole world. Why? Because he would do it if he had the capability. V'nei ish kazeh kedai lahachriv oila malei imyia yecholas v'yadai. Ki ein haseichel shoyleit boi klal. This person has no seichel. And don't say, I know who it's talking about. Say, I know that's what I look like when I get angry. V'husar tam mamish. His seichel has been removed. Kechol hachayos hatarfais. Elephant, rhinoceros, you, me, and a zebra. You become like a chayara. Now look carefully at the words of the Mishpatim, because there's a Kabbalistic side here that the Mishpatim doesn't let us on, and we're going to elaborate. Ve'olav nemar, about this gentleman it says, Toiref nafshay ba'apai. His soul is grabbed away in his anger. Halamancha teyazev aretz. Do we need to move out of planet Earth because of you? If this guy had access to a nuclear bomb, he would destroy Kala Olam Male. That means everyone else inhabiting the planet needs to leave because of this guy. This gentleman will violate every Avera in the world. At this moment, when this person is acting without Seichel, there is nothing that the person would not do. Right now, the only thing that's moving him is his kas. Okay, I think it's a pretty accurate description of somebody who's in the flares of anger. However, there's a very frightening comment of the Arizal. Rav Chaim Vital writes, in the Sha'ar Ruach HaKodesh, take a look at number 23, that of all the avonos in the Torah, the Arizal was most makbid about kas more than any other avera. Even when to get angry to do a mitzvah. You know why? Every other avera in the Torah, you're poigim your neshama. Yeah, you make a stain on the neshama, you make a discoloration on the neshama, you cause an infraction against your soul. But kas destroys the entire neshama. You know why? Listen to this. Says the Arizal, when a person gets angry, remember like when you had a bris milah? So at the bris milah, you were given a name. So he said, Vikar Shema Yisrael, Minchas Pinchas. They called you Yankel ben Pliny. Fine. At that moment, you became a yid. You had a neshama. However, when you get angry, your neshama leaves your body, and now in its place, you have a nefesh mitzad haklipa. Everyone thinks you're Jewish. Everyone thinks you're a yid. You no longer have neshama kedosha. This is the side of the pasuk that the Mishpatim says, Toiref nafshay ba'apai. The soul has been grabbed away in your anger. It's a Toiref nafshay hakadosha. You become a treifa. So what is he talking about? But the guy's alive. How could he live without a neshama? Well, I have a question for you. If someone has a mortal wound, they could live for 12 months. They're not dead, but in halacha they're kamat dead. If somebody kills a treifa, they're pater. Right? If you know about a human being that they're a treifa, someone kills them. When a person gets angry, the neshama hakadosha leaves, and in its place comes a neshama. You get a neshama from the dark side. So you say, so then what happens to all the mitzvahs I did, and all the learning I did, and all the tefillos I said, and all the amens, and all the tzedakah? It's lost. Isn't that great? You lost it. You don't have it anymore. It's gone! Over. Every mitzvah you ever did your whole life is out. You lost your whole life. You lose your temper, the neshama is gone, and along with it is all the mitzvah. Where are they? I don't know what this is, but whenever I lost something in my shiur, they say it's in a cloud. Right? I don't know what that is. That means like you'll never get it. A cloud. There's no such thing. That's where. Now, could you get it back? So I'm not here to scare you. I want you to enjoy the rest of your life. But basically, the Ma'ar V'Shemesh says that if you do tshuva yula, if you do tshuva me'ava, you could get it back. Yeah, but kulei hai v'ulai. It's a frightening thing. Says Arizal, even if a person did many tikkunim, kol mitzvos, rabbis, ugdolos, hakol, nevadim, mimenu, legamri. What do you mean? That's because it went into your bank account, which is your soul, but you don't have your soul anymore. And therefore, it's like every time a person gets angry, they have to start again, and again, and again, and again. The Marv Shemesh writes that you could see it on a person's face. What happens when they get angry? After they turn, they get white. After their face turns, they turn white. You know why? Because they basically died. So, I would recommend contacting the Chevra Kadisha and telling them, if somebody loses his anger, call in the Chevra Kadisha. Let them come, take off the begadim, put on the tachrichim, dunk the guy in the mikvah. I don't know if they do that in America. Dunk the guy in the mikvah. And, if you want to dramatize the point, the guy died. Yeah, but he's living and breathing. Yeah, but he's like a newborn baby. He has nothing on his account. Yes, you could do tshuva and you could get it back, but it's a frightening thing, says Arizal. You have to do tshuva. And part of tshuva is azivas hachet. Our Chaim HaKadosh says that Hashem tells the Kayin, Lama charalach, why do you get angry? Lama naflu panecha. You know how I know? I see it on your face. You're white like a ghost. You died. That's how I know, says Hashem. Yeah, it's a tough one, right? By the way, you know what's interesting? Whenever I talk about kas, people tell me, yeah, that really hit home. That's like the most, that's something that really resonates with people. Look, Lev yoidei amaras nafshenu. So when we learn about Bakama, arba avos nazikin, fire. What fire do I have? I have my Shabbos licht, and have 30 years fire extinguishers there, and I have carbon monoxide alarm and a fire alarm, and I check the battery. I change the batteries every 3 days. Yeah, pal. But there's another kas you got to guard. You got to guard the fire of another fire you have to guard. That's the fire of kas, and that's something that we all have to keep in check and guard ourselves. And do tshuva, and we do tshuva. Baruch Hashem, don't worry. I'm not here to frighten you. I'm here to make you happy. Your neshama will come back, and all your mitzvahs will come back, and all your tzedakah will come back. But we have to be on guard and be careful about it. But soif davar hakol nishma. Es Elokim yira. That's mitzvah sav shemar. What? Kizeh kol ha'adam. Kizeh kol ha'adam, right? Kizeh kol ha'adam. What does Shem HaMelech mean? Soif davar hakol nishma. Fear God. Kizeh kol ha'adam. Why does he say kizeh kol ha'adam? You should say fear God. Ki zeh davar nachal. It's very important to fear God. So Rabbi Chanan Wasserman tells us a very important thing. The Torah says, "Vayomer Elokim Na'aseh Adam, let's make man." So everybody's bothered. Who's he talking to? What do you mean, let's make? I thought God created the world. There's only one God. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Right? Sound familiar? There's one God. Remember that? With all the Torahs that we're learning. I just want to point out, there's only one God. So what does it mean? Na'aseh Adam, let's make man. Says the Zohar HaKadosh, let me explain something. Says the Zohar. Adam is a microcosm of the universe. After Hashem created the sun, the moon, the stars, the birds, the fish, the animals, the wild animals, the lion, the rhinoceros, the snake, the scorpion, the mosquito, the python, the boa constrictor, the cobra, all these vicious snakes, Hashem then turned to everything He created and said, I'm looking to build a binyan. We're not interested. We don't build other people's shuls. We're not interested. No, Hashem said, no, we want to make man. What do we need to do? Everybody contribute one chelek, a little bit of your personality, and man will be encompassing the entire bria. Man is called olam katan, a small world. Every feature of every bria exists in man. Man has in him the kayach of the sun and the moon and the stars and the sky and the birds and the fish and the elephant and the lion and the zebra and the python and the cobra and the boa constrictor. Says Rabbi Chanan, the biggest chaya in the world could be Adam. How many chains does it take to chain down a lion? I don't know, 4. A lion can never be as destructive as a man. How many lions would it take to do what a Stalin did, what a Hitler did? The biggest chayara in the world could be the Adam. Because a lion is only a lion, but an Adam is a lion and a bear and a tiger and a snake. So what is going to restrain man? What are the chains that hold back man's shar, bar, mava? A man is a shar. A man is an ish. Man has in him hezek. There's only one thing that will restrain a man. What is that? Soif davar hakol nishma. Es haloikim yira. Fear God. Kizek kol ha'adam. Without your shamayim, you're not an Adam. What are you? You're a peel, you're a tiger, you're a chayara. To the extent that a person has Yer Shamayim, he's an Adam. The extent that a person does not have Yer Shamayim, he's a behema, chaya, and a mashchis, and a mazik. When you learn about the Arba Avos Nazikin, it's not only guard your shar, guard your bar, guard your mave, guard your hever. Guard the koyach hashar in you, guard the koyach hahever in you, the koyach hakas. Man has within him greatness. We're tzelem elokim. We have within us divinity, but we also have a more base element. We also have a physicality and a liability to damage. And our responsibility, the same way, if somebody said, "Hey, Rabbi Yid, would you mind watching my boa constrictor for a week? Would you mind watching my tiger for a week?" So imagine, yeah, sure, just put him in my backyard, right? Yeah, just throw him into the house. He'll go down to the basement. You have children in the house. You come back. The whole house is consumed because you have a tiger. Person has in them kas. Kas is a tiger within your personality. You need a shmir mula. You need iron bars. That means the person knows that he has kas, and everybody does. It's not something to be embarrassed about. Mesil Shalom writes, kas is human nature. Human nature is nisayur to kas. So it's brought over here. The Sefer Hasidim brings down, do one thing. Do one thing. Make a Kabbalah. That if you're angry, just don't talk. Or don't react until the next day. Realize that these koichos need shmira, and with proper Yirah Shamayim and Avodas Hamidos, we'll be able to save ourselves from Arba Avos Nazikin. But luckily it didn't say Hain. Can you imagine how bad things would be if it said Hain? If it said Hain, then there would be even more reality to it. Rabbi Say, thanks for listening. Have a great day.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.